Hello, my name is Simon and welcome to AFC Bournemouth Analysis. Here's my take on our 4-1 defeat at Huddersfield Town. A truly terriersable result. Nope. Yeah, it was a largely gutless display on Sunday. We just weren't on it at all, and unfortunately our opponent was the complete opposite. Huddersfield Town were great. They pressed us high. They were in our faces. They fouled us occasionally, but most of the tackles were fair, and our players just literally weren't up to the fight. And it's frustrating because if we'd matched their intensity and their work ethic, we could have easily got a result, because defensively they weren't particularly sound, but just like literally there wasn't a good performer in the team. I mean, Nathan Ake was generally good again, as he always is, but the rest of the team were just so poor. Going from the back, defensively, errors, Simon Francis just getting destroyed for pace on the right wing for the first goal. For the second goal, Cook and Francis not really knowing what they were doing, letting a pretty much free header in. For the third goal, Steve Cook just passing it out from the edge of our area right into the path of a Huddersfield player, and then them going on and scoring pretty much straight away. And then in the midfield, Lewis Cook and Dan Gosling have looked good of late, but they just looked hopelessly lost against Huddersfield midfield. Lewis Cook was clearly frustrated and putting tackles in. Gosling they were trying, but they just weren't. It just wasn't coming off. And then, arguably worst of all, our front three of Stanislas, Ibe and Wilson were just hugely ineffective for large portions of the game. Obviously, Stanislas scored our equaliser, a superbly taken goal, but Jordan Ibe looked anonymous and didn't look really up for it, and Callum Wilson was very, very quiet. Huddersfield really did a job on us, but it's very frustrating display, especially after our recent run of form. I know you've got to take, bad results like this on the chin sometimes, but the performance just wasn't good enough. And and now the pressure's a little bit more on now for the Newcastle game. Apart from the shambolic defensive errors, the ugly was possibly BT Sports coverage of the game, with terrible, inane punditry from Jermaine Genius and Michael Owen, and the cameras were also fortunate or unfortunate, depending on your view, to catch a Huddersfield player making a real dick out of himself. You can find out more details about that by searching on Google, because I'm definitely not putting a picture of the incident here. Definitely the full-time whistle, or just the reassuring thought that at least I didn't travel all the way there, having to get up at 2 a.m. My thoughts go out to those poor men, women and children who actually went to the game on Sunday. A couple of people got in touch, the first being Lorenzo AFCB, who said, "I'd rather not talk about the game. Wins versus deflated Chelsea and Stoke sides gave us false indications, and luckily we did get them, or we would be in the crap. Huddersfield came into this game after an awful run, for goodness sake." Quite. I think there was a stat, I know there was a stat that Huddersfield scoring those 2 goals in 27 minutes they therefore scored more goals than they did in the previous 7 games put together. So we just massively played into Huddersfield's hands into the most embarrassing way possible. You'd think for the players and the staff we've got, the amount they've been paid, we would have been better set up, better motivated and more organised. I know Eddie Howe's stubborn and he likes to stick with what's worked, but I don't think 3-4-3 or even 3-4-3 with the players that he picked were the right choices. I don't think Jordan Ibe, even maybe Junior Stanislas, despite his goal, were the right players to pick for what was a really tough battling game against physical opponents in weather conditions that were, to put it nicely, awful. I think Eddie Howe's stubbornness can often cost us points, but it's won us points as well. Remember, we're an unbeaten 7-game run, so you've got to take the rough with the smooth, but it definitely doesn't take swallowing a 4-1 thrashing any easier. Yeah, and then on Facebook, Alan Harris said, the only thing I can take from today's game is going forward, I'm going to keep my expertise to myself as I clearly have no idea. After Alan commented on the preview video, don't worry about Alan. I don't think anybody saw a 4-1 defeat coming today. So, please do keep commenting. It'd be great to hear from you. And then I took a couple from Twitter itself, just thoughts I thought were reasonably accurate and interesting. The first from Korsikov on Twitter, who said, Francis, he is a total liability. We're effectively starting games 1-0 down because he has so many mistakes in him. Got away with 2 massive errors versus Stoke last week that would have been punished by better players. Francis was just terrible again. He's just, there are weak links, but then there's Simon Francis, who is like, if it was like our team was a video game boss, he would be a huge red flashing part to be attacked, and teams do. They are targeting him, and why wouldn't you? Not only has he no pace, sometimes no awareness of what's going around in him, his distribution is awful. Like if he's pressured even slightly, he hoofs the ball up the pitch. And the worrying thing is that's usually a relief when he does that, because when he tries to pass it along the ground, it often goes to an opposition player, and that's worse, because at least hoofing the ball, it's away from our defence for a little while. Francis, if he's starting games next season, then Eddie Howe has truly lost the plot in that area, because he's clearly not good enough. And then finally, Rob Meach on Twitter, one I picked up, he said, this game is a timely reminder that talk about Europe and England call-ups is perhaps premature. We're all guilty of getting carried away, and a reality check is never a bad thing. Enjoy the good times, don't get too despondent in the bad. I think that's fair. This game was truly terrible, one of our worst displays of the season, but you've got to remember that we're on a 7-game unbeaten run. And although you look at the Newcastle game now with a bit of trepidation, you've got to remember that at home we've been very good. I don't think we've lost a game since Liverpool. I think we've won nearly every home game since then, actually. You've got to stay positive. I don't think European football is going to be happening this season, sadly, but there is mild progress in a way. So that's pretty much it. But that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching if you did all the way to the end, and please do get involved in AFCB analysis on Twitter and Facebook. The links are in this video's description, and they're also in text form here. Do get in touch, I'd love to hear from you. I also write for Yahoo Sport once a week, and my latest post is somewhat stupidly now about how Eddie Howe's brave attacking approach trumps David Wagner's recent cautious approach, which obviously wasn't the case this Sunday, so that article looks a bit stupid now. But if you want to read that all the same, you can by visiting my Yahoo Sport bio, when there's a link to that in this video's description. So thanks again so much for watching, and up the cherries in all departments.